Well, hi guys, hopefully this finds you very well. My name's Paul, this is Plan Zed. Welcome to my little workbench here. Now we've got ToneX in the send return of the GT-1000. We're on the close-up of the GT-1000 because I want to talk to you about settings in here. We're going to be looking at a bunch of different patches and ways to do things today surrounding EQ, reverbs, compressors, things like this. We're going to start out with a Marshall JTM50 stock patch on the ToneX. Just going to give you the settings quickly. I've got the depth on 50, the presence on 55, the mids on 50, the treble on 50, and the bass is down at 10. Now when you go into the deeper settings of the ToneX, I've got the bass frequency centered at 120 Hertz. I've got the mid Q on 1 or 1.05, whatever it is. And then we've got the frequency at 750. Gain at 55. Bring it up to level to taste. But when I take off my EQ and compression, in my patch here you can see I've got the send return there. That's my ToneX. Got a bit of a noise suppression at the front. Nothing else. We go straight out the outputs and off to the phone where you're hearing it into your lovely ears. Hopefully you're in headphones. In the next patch, we put a subtractive EQ on. Now I do have a bit of a question there. I feel like I may have lost too much highs, but in a mix it felt really good. So I'm going to leave it here to start with. So what we're doing, the strategy that I want to take you through over the next few patches is we take away stuff we don't want and we then put in the stuff we do want. So we're using parametric EQs. We've got only two here. In the first block we've got all the zeros, and in the second block we do a bit of a gain stage where we've got a +3 on the level. Alright, but we still remain with all the zeros still on the high and the low shelf. Now, the first frequency we hit really is our low cut, 125. Now, note that I had the Marshall in the ToneX cutting off at about 120. Then we deal with 250 Hertz on a wide Q here of 1 minus 3 dB. And I'm taking out 500 on a Q of 16. This is like a tight notch. Minus 6 dB. The next block, we deal with the highs. So in the high mids, I'm finding at 2.5K. Now you might find with different pickups, different amps, different guitars, these frequencies that we talk about here, I say 2.5, but you might find 2 a bit harsh, you might find it harsh at 3 or 4. Yeah, there's going to be a frequency there that whistles. Just pop that out. For these patches, I'm at 250. And we'll go deeper into that in other videos. But the strategy should be on a Q of 16, take, well here I've only taken 3 dB, and I want you to pay attention to this with the 2.5K. In some of the other patches when I start pushing frequencies, I pull this back. Now across all the patches I have got a cut at 5K on a Q of 2 taking 6 dB. So I'm just taking a nice big chunk of everything that would come after a speaker cabinet really, taking those frequencies out and leaving my high cut at 10. But bit of me wants that at 12. Tube screamer. Okay, so let's just talk about one other element that is on this patch. At the end of the chain, I've got a stereo compressor where it's just sitting before the output, and we go stereo comp, 35 on the sustain, so we're kind of grabbing and releasing quite quickly. We've got the attack on 100, which is the slowest attack, so it's taking ages to get to the note. It's not taking the front end off. We can change the shape of our tone using this compressor. Now I've got the level at 55 to gain stage. Tone on 0. We could shape this here if we wanted to brighten it or what have you. I've got 1.6 to 1 ratio. This is quite important. This is very soft. If I wanted more compression, turn this up and just redo your gain stage. And here, none of the dry mix coming through, okay? So with this patch, what I'm going to do, I can't remember if I made a change. Let's just save that. I think I did with the Okay, so now I've taken things out. I want to put things back in, but when I do this now, I'm going to add a block. So everything is the same. The only thing that has changed is in, let's just check, we're at -3 on 1, 16.5, 6, 125. Okay, so here, remaining, we take the boost of +3 off, and you'll note here that I've got -6. I might have been a bit strong, but let's see how we go. I've got -6 at 2.5. There'll be a reason for this. Let's have a look. The 5K cut is the same, but the high cut has also moved. I've moved it because it chokes the tone if you leave it here and then afterwards apply EQ. So the high cut is now in here. So let's just bring that up to 12. 12.5 is what it is. Okay, so with fresh ears, I'm preferring that. I like that at 12. So here, in this EQ block, what I've done is I've left the +3 because I felt we lost a little something when we did the subtractive. And then all I've done is shape the tone by bumping 800 on a Q of 1. So this is a wide boost. Try to boost on wide Qs. Nothing really smaller than a 2. Try to do it on a 1. And I've only gone 1 dB, look. And I've done the same thing on 2K. Okay, 1 dB on a Q of 1. We've got the high cut in here. Let's just save that with its change. Compare it to no. Okay, so I quite like that. Pushing in that way is in, yeah, I like what I did to the shape of the tone. So I basically experimented there a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try splitting this up and try and create a stereo patch, all with the illusion of using dual mono. So we've got, again, we've still got ToneX in mono in one send return. We've got the same EQ happening here. And I just want to flag where I pulled this back at 2.5K. That is obviously because I'm boosting a little bit at 2K in this block. But here we've put a divide and we've got two different blocks. So everything is exactly the same as in the other one. But what we are going to do is bring up this high cut. Now we've got a bit of room reverb on. And if I press a button on my GT-1000, I now change divide, where on the other side, we're pushing slightly different frequencies. Still got the same boost, but we're now pushing 1K, same Q and amount, it's very subtle, and 1.6. Switching between the two. So this one is very subtly brighter, this one here. And we could shape that further if we would just, let's say, what we might do is do a copy of this patch in a moment and we'll just switch it up a little bit. But I just wanted to show you that we've also got this divide here, that when I press this button here, and it goes red, going green to red here, you'll see the divide is changing. Here we go, change from single to dual, change the output of the mixer to a left-right in the assign change. And we leave here everything at 100, but I've just got the spread on 20 for the moment. Okay? So this is helping me get some nice stereo spread using this tool, but the EQ is helping give each part its own separate space. Because what I'll choose to do is, let's just save that patch with the setting there. And we might, as I say, do a copy of that. I've got another version of the same patch. So I might take some loops using this one, where over here, I'm pushing 800 and 1.25. In the other one, I was doing 1 and 1.6. And in this side, it's all the same, but I'm pushing 1 and 1.6. So when I take my loops, if I was to use the same amp, I'm sitting in slightly different frequencies. I could take my loops and my highs are sitting at 1.6 and the other side at 1.2. When I come back to drop in a lead line or a main part, I'm using frequencies of where I've got some bite at 2K, so I cut through the middle of the mix, if that makes sense, when I layer guitars left and right. So what we might do in a little minute is have a little go with that. I've got some, let's see how we get on. I just want to show you that, because I want to try and keep this video short, I've basically set up another patch where I've got the same thing, but this time, because it's a mono patch and I'm not flinging audio everywhere, in here, what we start out with, let me just check something. Yep. We start out with 800 being the push with 2K. But if we come into the assigns here, so we're just going to go into the assign control. You'll see I've got a pre-EQ, I've got the pre-EQ here, and I'm changing the frequencies down to 1.25 so I can get a slightly different tone, something that isn't so in the way of the vocal. So this is with the, if we look here, we'll see this go from 2 and just takes a little bit of edge off. Just bring that up. Okay, so there's two ways of getting two different, one using a divide and just switching, frees up an EQ, and the other one we can kind of play around with and use the stereo field like in this patch. But so let's just take a copy of this let's just call this 3. So it's exactly the same, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to straight off the bat, I'm just going to turn everything down 1 dB on each side. And then I'm just going to turn this up 1 dB for each frequency. So we just got a slightly more exaggerated shape now. Let's see what the level's like. Let's just compare that, see if it's any better or worse. So they're very subtly different, and I can start to shape things in very subtle ways. Don't be too extreme just yet. We're going to use our boosts and EQs before the amp to get extreme. We just want to subtly shape things. So let's go to something a little bit more. I've got a whole bunch of patches set up for us to kind of dial in reverbs and this, that, and the other. Let's just keep going till we get to here. Now here, I've got a demo track, 2020, that I've been using in the last few videos. And I've got patches set up for that track. What I wanted to show you is I did a cloud video a little while ago, and then I did a copy of that patch and I changed how the effects work on the back end. We're going to go back into this patch now. I've got EQ and compression sorted out. But I want to show you that in this patch, so that when I drop this sound in, it's not fighting with any of those other patches that I just told you about. Here, I'm pushing the same 800 and 1.25 is what's being pushed. Okay, so I'm out of the way of the 2K region, but it's a part that's going to come up the middle. So I'm pushing the 800 region at the moment. Then after that, I've put a graphic EQ. We're going to be doing another video where we take this graphic EQ, put it before amps, and then shape. I'm going to, show you 5, 6 different ways to shape amps using a graphic EQ at the front. Should have done that about a month or so ago, but as I say, I've not been too well. Now here, all I've done is bump the level by 1. It's very subtle. 0, 0, 0, and then at 250, we drop off a couple of dB, drop off to -5 at 500. A couple of dB at 1K, and everything else flat after that. Okay, so if I take this off, let's just go to into the FNDR. So it just takes it out of the way slightly. I've also got the patch of this, the volume of this patch lower. You'll notice there's a button just down here that's going blue to red. That one is controlling the volume of the patch until I find another way to get my automation of volume in a mix worked out. Now, here, I wanted to talk about the compression after. So here, when we land on the patch, what we've got is a compression, orange compressor, 50, 45, 45, 0, 4:1 ratio, 50 dry mix. Oh, let's just turn everything off and no verbs or anything. In here, I'm just pushing 1 and 1.6. So this is for a part that's going to sit in the middle. I'm going to use a Supro actually, so let's stick the Supro on. I'm going to take my part on the neck. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to play with the compressor at the end of the chain. I'm going to press a button that brings on 2 effects, brings on a chorus and a ring modulation. We're going to dive into the deeper settings for this in another video to keep this short. When I do that, I want you to notice the end of chain compressor here is set the same way as the other patches. But when I press this button, we go to a ratio of 5:1 and the attack comes down to 0. So we really grab the note. So watch, the attack goes down, these come on, and we're at 5:1. And so I can take my sound from being I'm going to use that to make my guitar sound a little bit alien in a mix. We'll get into that in another session. Just wanted to get this EQ and give you a little idea of how we can use very simple assigns. In here, all I've done is done the assigns for that compressor. I don't want to waste too much time looking for it because I can't really see the screen where I am. But if I come in here, we'll see as I scroll through, we've got a compressor attack there. Somewhere else there'll be compressor ratio, and then you just select it. But I'm going to kind of talk to you about assigns in a deeper video, and what I might do just while I'm in this patch and remembering, let's just get that high cut up. I like that at 12. Might want to change that depending on the sound, depending on the patch, depending on the song. Okay, so hopefully that's giving you an idea, and in the next video we're going to see the ToneX and we're going to dial in a bunch of patches there and just see how easy it is now that we've got this kind of a setup going with a modular. Yeah, I'll catch you a bit later. Hopefully you find that interesting. If you try these ideas out, hopefully you like them. I'll catch you in a bit. Bye.